Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton. Today I'm going to show you how to can cherry jam. In this course you'll learn how to make and can cherry jam. I'll lead you through the process step by step. I'll give you the recipe and the canning supply list that you can download and print out for future reference. You'll find those in your course materials, and you'll also gain the confidence you need to try more canning recipes on your own. For this recipe, you're going to need 4 cups of tart or sour cherries, 5 cups of sugar, and 4½ tablespoons of powdered pectin. You'll also need a boiling water canner, a canning rack if you're using your own stock pot, a jar lifter, a cherry pitter, wide mouth funnel, and 3-pint or 6½ pint canning jars. This is what a boiling water canner looks like. If you don't already have one, you can get one at Walmart, or you can order it on Amazon for about $32 for the kit. There's a link to this in the supply list in your course materials. This canning rack comes with the boiling water canner, but if you'd like to use your own large stock pot for boiling water canning, you can, as long as you have a canning rack in the bottom so that your jars don't sit on the bottom of the pan. You need a jar lifter to take your jars in and out of your pot. A cherry pitter is optional, but if you're going to be pitting a lot of cherries, I recommend you get one. These are about $20. There's a link to this in your course materials on your supply list. There's different kinds you can get. You can get bigger ones. This one's about $20, but they have bigger ones that hold more cherries, and you can also get ones that are handheld that do one at a time. This one works great for my needs when I'm doing just a couple quarts at a time. The cherries just fall down in there, and that plunger pushes the pit out, and the cherry falls down into the bottom there. And so that just works great for me, but it's really nice to have something to get the pits out, or you're going to be spending a lot of time taking the pits out of your cherries. You need a wide mouth funnel to put your food in your jars. First, you want to fill your canner about 3/4 of the way full with water and start it heating. You need to sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in your dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can boil them in water on the stove, but the dishwasher is a lot easier. You can reuse your jars as long as they don't have any nicks or cracks in them, and you can reuse your rings, but you need to use new lids every time. It's best to select red, tart, sour cherries for this recipe. You can use sweet cherries, but the recipe won't turn out quite the same. So you can experiment and see what you like best, but I used sour pie cherries for this recipe, and this cherry jam turned out really, really good. First, you want to remove the pits from your cherries. Place your cherries into stock pot. Some people like smooth jam and some people like chunky jam. If you like yours a little bit on the chunky side, then all you need to do is mash them with a potato masher. You can also blend them in the blender or in a food processor, or you could also use an immersion blender in the pan if you want to blend them up a little bit. I think for this recipe I just used the potato masher. After you put the cherries in the pan, you want to stir the powdered pectin in. Add a pinch of butter to reduce the foaming. You want to bring the mixture to a boil that cannot be stirred down. Next, you want to add the sugar all at once. It's not a good idea to measure the sugar as you go when you're canning, because you can put the wrong amount in and then your jam won't set. So it's best if you have your sugar measured ahead of time and add it all at once. You want to return the mixture to a boil and boil for 1 minute. If there's any foam on top of your jam, just skim it off with a metal spoon. I didn't have any foaming this time, so I didn't have to do that. And the foam doesn't hurt anything, but it just doesn't look very nice in your jam. So if there's any foam on top, just skim it off with a spoon. Then ladle your jam into your sterilized jars, leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. The headspace is the amount of space between the top of your jam and the top of the jar. You need to leave enough space so that when your food is heated in the boiling water canner, that when the food expands when it's heated, the jar won't crack or break. So you want to make sure that you always have the right amount of headspace. Wipe the rims of your jars with a damp paper towel or dish towel to make sure that you get a good seal on your jar. You want to place your rings and lids on the jars, just finger tight. Process your jars in a boiling water canner for 10 minutes. Want to make sure there's an inch of water above the jars If there's not enough water, add some water and don't start your timer until the water's boiling. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you need to adjust your processing time, and you'll have to increase your processing time. So if you need to, check the altitude adjustment chart in the course materials. After the time is up, use your jar lifter to remove the jars from the canner and set them on a towel on the kitchen counter to cool. Your jars may or may not be sealed when they come out of the canner. Sometimes it takes 15 to 20 minutes for them to seal when they come out of the canner. You'll know if they're sealed. You'll hear a pinging noise when they seal. And also, if you push your finger in the middle of the lid, if the lid goes down and up again, it's not sealed. But if it's just flat and doesn't move, then it is sealed. If you have one or two that don't seal, you can still eat them. Just put them in the refrigerator and use them in the next couple of months. And if it is sealed, you can put it in a cool, dark area for 1 to 2 years. This jam is really good. It's really sweet, and I just love the cherry flavor of it. If you want to change the fruit in this recipe, as long as you have 4 cups of fruit, you could add another kind of fruit and mix it with the cherries. Like, for instance, if you wanted to add some pineapple to the cherries, as long as the total amount of fruit is 4 cups, you can substitute some of the cherries with another kind of fruit if you want to try another fruit combination. So give it a try and see what you think.